Hi everyone, good day and welcome. It's truly great to see all of you here today, and thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this conversation. Your presence reflects the importance of this matter. So today, we're actually seeing a shift in how organizations think about data protection. So it's no longer just about having backups in place, but it's also about ensuring business continuity because when data is lost, the impact actually goes beyond IT. It also affects operations, of course, revenue, customer trust, and ultimately your ability to keep the business running. So with data loss threats like ransomware, hackers, human error, and system failures happening more frequently, the real question is no longer do we have backups, but can we recover quickly, reliably, and without driving up costs? So that's exactly what we want to address in today's session. So we'll walk through what immutable backup really means, why it's becoming essential, and how Ahsay approaches it in a way that not only protects your data, but also gives you the flexibility and control to manage storage costs effectively. Our goal is to keep this practical and relevant, so by the end of this session, you'll have a clearer view of how to ensure your data remains recoverable when it matters most. So before we dive deeper, let me briefly walk you through what we'll be covering today. So to keep this session focused and valuable for you, we've structured it into a few key areas. So we'll start by looking at the current business risk landscape, why data protection has become a board-level concern. From there, we'll put immutable backup into context, so what it means and why it matters today. So we'll then move into its strategic value and where it's most useful in real-world scenarios. After that, we'll briefly touch on the limitations of conventional approaches before introducing Ahsay's differentiated model and how it addresses those gaps. We'll also cover the supported storage environments, followed by a quick overview of the interface and a short demonstration to bring everything together. And of course, we'll leave time at the end for your questions. So now that we've outlined the agenda, let's look at the business risks driving the need for stronger continuity and recovery strategies. So here's how a single business risk can rapidly escalate into operational disruption. So it actually starts with data loss, which quickly disrupts operations and slows down the business. Then ransomware raises the stakes. So modern attacks don't just hit production data, they also target backup data, removing your safety net. So with no reliable recovery point, downtime extends and every hour starts to impact revenue through lost transactions and rising costs. And ultimately, it actually hits where it matters most: trust and compliance. So customers lose confidence and regulatory exposure increases. So what begins as a single incident can rapidly escalate into a full business impact across operations, revenue, and reputation. So it's actually easy to look at the risk and think we have backups, so we're covered. But that's where the real gap lies. So between having backups and being truly protected. And that brings us to the critical gaps many organizations are only discovering during an actual crisis. So most organizations focus on whether backups are completed regularly. But in today's threat landscape, the real question is, are those backups usable? Because if they've been encrypted, deleted, or quietly corrupted, recovery has not just slowed down, it's already failed. Because if they've been, so resilience is not about how much data you store, it's about integrity and certainty, knowing your data is clean and recoverable. And if you can't guarantee that, the gap is still there. So the question becomes, how do we close it? So the answer is a shift from simple storage to immutability. So an immutable backup is essentially locked data. Once written, it cannot be changed, deleted, or encrypted even by administrators for a defined period. So that creates a hard line of defense. Whether it's ransomware or hackers, your backup remains untouched and recoverable. And that's the real advantage. You're guaranteed a clean recovery point even after a major incident. So strategically, this changes the question. It removes the leverage from attackers, strengthens compliance, and protects customer trust. Because when your backups are immutable, recovery is not a question of if, but it's simply a matter of when. So now that we understand what immutable backup is and why it matters, let's look at where it delivers the most value in real-world operations, starting with ransomware, where an untouchable recovery point can make the difference between fast recovery and prolonged disruption. Second, we have human error, protecting against accidental deletion or misconfiguration. Third, insider threats, where even privileged users should not be able to alter recovery data. And finally, compliance, where proving data integrity is just as important as recovering it. So the need is clear. Immutability protects against both external and internal risks, but how is this typically implemented today? So traditionally, most solutions follow two models. So these immutable backups offered by our competitors are usually set up using either Model A, we have Model A, Object Lock, or Worm. So write once or write once, read many, which locks data for a fixed retention period, good for baseline but quite rigid. And we have Model B, compliance mode, which enforces absolute protection, no overrides, even by admins. So it's very secure, but also inflexible. So the industry standard tends to force a trade-off. So strong protection versus operational flexibility. And that actually raises an important question for most organizations. So is it possible to achieve strong immutability without sacrificing operational flexibility and cost control? At Ahsay, we actually focus on delivering both. So we go beyond basic immutability with true ransomware immunity. Data cannot be modified, deleted, or re-encrypted. At the same time, we enable policy flexibility, so you can adapt as business needs change. We also address cost control, allowing you to stop paying for storage you no longer need. And importantly, we take a defense in-depth approach, combining immutability with encryption and strong access control. So all these for a free, cost-efficient approach. It's not just about locking data, it's about building a backup strategy that is secure, flexible, aligned with business priorities while saving costs. So while immutability strengthens security and recovery resilience, organizations also need to consider another critical factor, which is the cost. So because long-term protection only works if it remains operationally and financially sustainable. So now let's look at the cost perspective. So with Ahsay, immutable backup is included free of charge, out of the box, across all plans. So no add-ons, no hidden fees, and no tier-based restrictions. So you get enterprise-grade protection from day one without incremental costs. In contrast, many competitors require additional licensing, separate modules, or limit immutability to higher tier plans. So this often forces upgrades just to access a critical security capability, driving up both cost and complexity. So the outcome is straightforward: higher spend, more constraints. But with Ahsay, it's actually the total opposite. So stronger protection with a lower total cost of ownership. So for your reference, these are currently Ahsay supported immutable destinations. So now that we've covered where immutable backups can be stored, the next logical question is, how does Ahsay actually make these backups tamper-proof? So Ahsay doesn't just rely on a single control, it actually layers protection. So Ahsay has dual account architecture, which separates backup from admin control, eliminating single points of failure. Ahsay also has write-only access, which ensures data can be stored but never altered or deleted. So we also have admin access, which is completely isolated with no stored credentials to exploit. And of course, 2FA protected actions, so every critical action is locked behind two-factor authentication. The result, even if attackers get in, your backups remain out of reach, intact, uncompromised, and ready to restore. So now, all of this sounds great in theory, but the real test is what happens during an actual crisis. So let's bring this into real-world scenarios. So first, we have scenario A. So imagine a law firm walking in on a Monday morning, so only to find their systems locked by ransomware with a demand waiting. But with immutable backup, that pressure disappears. So there's no negotiation, no payout, just a clean, uncompromised restore, and business continues. Or scenario B, take an MSP client or take an MSP dealing with a client that suddenly exits, whether due to contract termination or bankruptcy. So without proper controls, storage costs keep piling up for data that no longer brings value. So Ahsay actually changes that. With flexible retention policies, you stay in control, keeping what matters and eliminating unnecessary costs. So this is not just about protection, it's about resilience and smarter cost management. So powerful protection is one thing, but being able to manage it effectively or effortlessly is another. So let's take a look at how Ahsay brings all of this together in a simple, intuitive interface. So first, to be able to set up an immutable destination, admin users are required first to add the supported destinations to the standard destination. Next, when setting up immutable destination, you must use a sub-user key or a regular access key which has write-only permission. So you must not also forget to enable the immutable option below. So next, when backup is done on an immutable backup, you can actually see an indication that destination used is immutable. Meanwhile, this is how immutable setup affects backup data deletion. So when deleting data, it first triggers two-factor authentication. So once you pass through the authentication process, you now have to enter a root key to proceed with the deletion. Otherwise, if you enter a regular access key or a sub-user key, you will actually receive this warning message. But once the correct key is used, you can actually immediately proceed to the backup data deletion. On the other hand, here's the backup data deletion. So on the other hand, deleting a backup set will, similar to the backup data deletion, deleting a backup set will also first trigger two-factor authentication. But after successful passing through the authentication process, you will be asked to confirm if you want to delete the backup set as well as the immutable destination used. So since immutable destination is also being deleted, you will again have to enter a root key to proceed with the deletion. And there, this is how it looks when deleting an immutable backup set, which includes the immutable destination. So to this point, we've covered the strategy, the architecture, and how Ahsay brings immutability and flexibility together. But of course, the real question is, how does this actually work in practice? So instead of staying in theory, let's shift gears and walk through a quick administration. I'll show you how these concepts translate into actual workflows. So this should give you a clearer picture of just how simple and practical it is to implement in your own environment. Okay, so in this demo, we are going to use Wasabi as an immutable destination. So we're going to show you how immutable backup works in scenarios showing the deletion of a backup data as well as backup set. But before proceeding, let's take note of some prerequisites. So first, you must create an immutable policy and assign it to a user. So for more details, you can check our video linked on the description below. Next, you need to have root and regular access key, which has write-only permission to save backup data to the immutable destination. So the other prerequisite is you must also have added your preferred immutable destination to your list of standard destinations. So to do this, you must have access to your Ahsay CBS admin account, then go to Users, Groups, and Policies, then select the policy group, and click on the default settings. Then click on the backup set settings. Oops. Okay. So there, you just need, under the standard destination section, you just need to click the add button to select destinations, and don't forget to click save. So for this, we have already added all the supported immutable destinations. And lastly, have your Ahsay mobile ready, as two-factor authentication is required for immutable backup setup. So to begin, let's create an immutable bucket that will serve as an immutable destination. So to create one, let's enter the bucket name. Okay, then select the region, then enable backup versioning as well as object lock, and that's it. So proceed to create the bucket. Okay, so once you already have an immutable bucket, let's go to the Ahsay, let's go to the Ahsay OBM, and okay, open your profile and click on authentication. So as mentioned, you must first enable two-factor authentication. So let's click add and pair your device. So on your Ahsay mobile app, click the add button and scan the QR code. So click OK. So there, click OK and click save. So now let's quickly create a backup set. So for this, we will be backing up files. So let's first select this one, backup source, and then let's keep the backup schedule on default. And now let's click the add button. So now we will be adding a destination, and here is where we will set up the immutable destination using Wasabi. So when setting up an immutable destination, so a regular access, a regular access key credentials is needed. So make sure that you have a prepared regular access key credentials. So you can just simply copy and paste the keys. Select the region, then enter the bucket name. So connect with SSL TLS as well as enable the immutable option and click OK. So we just have to wait until the testing of access to the destination gets completed. So once successful, you'll see the added destination with an indicated confirmation that it is immutable. So click next and make sure to save your encryption key before clicking confirm. Then proceed to back up your data. Okay, so we just need to wait for a while until the backup job gets completed. So the backup job will depend, or the backup job duration will depend on the internet connection speed as well as the total size of the data being backed up. So because we only selected a few backup data We're expecting this to complete in under a minute. So just wait. We just need to wait for a little short while. Okay, so after backing up your data, let's try to proceed with the backup data deletion. So let's close and go to Utilities, delete backup data, then select the backup set. Then select a destination, so which is the immutable destination. So we'll be selecting the Wasabi one. So choose whether to delete all backed up data or specific files. So for flexibility, for example, let's select choose from all files to select only specific file to be deleted. So before proceeding, you have to enter a root key. So otherwise, if you use a regular access key, so let's just, let me show you. So if you use a regular access key, which does not have a full permission for the immutable destination, you will actually encounter an error message. So like this, saying that you need to provide credentials with full permission. So enter your prepared root key credentials and click OK to proceed. So testing access to destination. Similar earlier, we just need to wait for a little short while until this process gets completed. So there. So after a successful test, you may now select specific files to be deleted. So for this, we have actually 8 files in total. So we're going to delete this one PDF file and proceed to click the delete button below. Okay, so the deletion requires two-factor authentication. So on your Ahsay mobile, you either approve notification request or enter the TOTP code. So for this, we'll just accept the notification request via the Ahsay mobile app. And the deletion will proceed. So we just need to wait. Okay, so afterward, let's open the folder again to double check that the file selected has been deleted. So as you can see, we just confirmed that the other PDF file is gone, and now we're down to 7 files only. So to further verify, let's close this. To further verify if the data is actually deleted, let's check the restore page. So select the backup set and as well as the destination. So click next. So as you can see, there, we're down from 8 files to 7 files in total with only 1 PDF file displayed. So now let's try the same process with backup set deletion. So, okay, so let's try to delete this backup set. So when deleting, similar with backup data, this process will require two-factor authentication. So we either approve notification request via Ahsay mobile app or enter the TOTP code. So let's accept. And you'll be prompted with a confirmation dialog box. So click yes to proceed with the deletion. Okay, so this, So click yes again. And now let's enter the root access key and root secret key. Oopsie. Oop. It won't let. There. Oops. Just to double check. Okay. There. And click OK. So we just wait until the testing to the destination gets successful. Okay, so as you can see from the messages displayed, the backup data and logs on the immutable destination are currently being deleted or being removed from the directory. So we just wait for a little more time. Okay, so there, we just got a confirmation that Wasabi1 or the immutable destination was also deleted. So the backup data was deleted as well successfully. Let's click close And click close again, and the backup set has been successfully deleted, or the immutable backup set has been successfully deleted. So that brings us to the end of the demonstration. We walked through the risks, the approach, and how everything comes together in a real-world setup. Now I'd like to open the floor to you. If you have any questions, whether it's about the architecture, use cases, or how this can fit into your environment, please feel free to drop them in the chat or raise them now, and we'll be happy to go through them with you. So any questions from our participants? Or maybe clarifications from any of the information that we've presented earlier? Or maybe you have a specific scenario in mind, please do not hesitate to share them with us, and we'll try to address them. So, any questions? Questions or any clarifications that you have in mind? Any questions, guys? Okay, we have a question from Alex Kowalski. Can I use other app instead of Ahsay Mobile for 2FA? So the answer is yes, you can actually use any other third-party 2FA authenticator that supports TOTP, such as Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Authy, etc. So it's not only limited to Ahsay Mobile. So any more questions from our participants? Please do not hesitate to drop them in the chat, guys, and we'll try to address them during this session. Okay, so we have you showed us a demo with Wasabi. Can you show us a demo with your own storage? Okay, so Graham, Todd, unfortunately, I apologize, but we don't have immutable storage set up for CBS at the moment. Any more questions? Or maybe clarifications regarding any of the information we have presented earlier? Please do not hesitate to drop them in the chat. Any more questions, guys? Questions? Any more questions? or maybe clarifications, or if you have any specific scenario in mind, maybe you can share it with us, and then we'll try to to discuss it or address it. So any more questions from our other participants? Maybe you might have clarifications. Questions, guys. Oh, we have another question from Alex Kowalski. Okay, can users turn on immutability for specific backup sets? So the answer is yes, immutability can be configured per backup set as it is based on your storage destination. Do we have any other questions? Maybe follow up or clarifications if you have? Maybe we still have time to accommodate maybe a few more questions if you have. Clarifications, questions, or specific scenarios, please do not hesitate to drop them in the chat. Questions, guys? Any more questions? Maybe regarding the demo or the presentation earlier. I think we no longer have questions coming. So, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we got no more questions. So as we wrap up today's session, we hope this discussion has given you a clearer perspective on why immutable backup is becoming an essential part of modern data protection and business continuity. So here at Ahsay, our goal is not only to help organizations secure their data against ransomware and other cyber threats, but also to provide a solution that remains practical, flexible, and cost-efficient for real-world operations. So we'd also like to sincerely thank all of you for joining us or for spending your time with us today. We know everyone has busy schedules, so we truly appreciate your participation, your engagement throughout the session, and of course, having the opportunity to share with you how Ahsay approaches immutable backup differently. So to help us continue improving future sessions, and of course, better understand the topics that matter most to you, we'll be sending out a short post-webinar survey after this. So we would greatly appreciate your feedback, as your insights genuinely help us create more relevant and valuable discussions moving forward. So of course, if you have additional questions or would like a deeper technical discussion, or maybe you want to explore how Ahsay can fit into your own environment and requirements, our team will be more than happy to continue the discussion with you after this session. So once again, this has been Laurice, and thank you again for everyone for joining us today. We truly appreciate your time and support, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.